Back in 2010, when Sonic Colors came out, it was considered a great game, and it managed to save the Sonic brand after the disaster that was 06, and with the mild disaster that was Unleashed. But since then, Sonic fans have switched gears and started claiming that Unleashed was actually the better game and Colors was never really good. Well, as someone who hasn't really played either of them before, I can give my unbiased opinion and say the better game is Unleashed. Kyle, what are you doing?
What were you saying?
I was trying to say that Unleashed is the better Sonic game.
No way you actually believe that. Colors is far superior.
No way. Fine. You know what? I'll explain why I like Unleashed, and then you can counter with why you like Colors, and by the end, we'll see who's right. Fair?
I literally don't have a choice, so fine.
Cool, okay. I'll move the camera, and you need to move because you're messing with the lighting. Sonic Unleashed, the better of the two games, has quite a lot to enjoy. While previous games were slower and had you earn speed, Unleashed takes inspiration from the Rush games and uses the boost mechanic.
I don't think you can call it inspiration when it's the exact same thing that works in the exact same way with the exact same name used by the exact same character.
Just shut up so I can make my point. This is the first 3D game to use the boost format, and surprisingly, it perfects it immediately. Sonic the Hedgehog has multiple styles of gameplay to him alone, from 2D side-scrolling sections, to 3D free-moving sections, to 3D switching lanes, to button prompts, to probably more I'm forgetting. Each one manages to keep you fast and having fun, and manages to flow between them during stage with little to no issues. Well, except when there are issues, but usually it's fine. The main style are the 3D free-running stages, and these are awesome. Since we're in 3D, you can easily see what's in front of Sonic, and thus you have even more time to react than you did in the 2D game. Because of this, there's a ton of obstacles you need to react to, and dodge around or jump over. It's a ton of fun to run through. There's even many lane-based sections, where you just zip from left to right, and they're still fun. Trying to get over in time to not hit a wall is a lot of fun, if not slightly annoying since my controller's bumpers are a bit broken, but still, I had a blast with these. Even the 2D stages can be awesome and require fast timing and precise button presses. Well, at the beginning of the game, the levels are far more basic just to show you the ropes. After a couple of levels, the speed is turned up to the max, and you end up having a ton of levels that are a joy to run through. You can also learn a few moves while you play the game, like the drift, which makes the free running sections even more fun. It's just awesome! I could just tell you tons of memorable levels from the game to just show you how great the levels are. A fairly early level has you run in a circle around the same section, meaning you can keep failing the same jump, but you just need to run back around to try again. This means the platforming can be really hard since there's little to no punishment for failure. It's a lot of fun.
How many times can you say fun before it loses all meaning?
I swear, I'll delete you. Along with having great gameplay, the levels are sprinkled with cinematic moments, and sections not meant to be challenging, but just cool, like running on the back of a whale or a dragon statue. We also get the return of rail grinding here, and it works far better than ever. We even get an entire stage with just rails, and not a single place to land, and it's, again, fun. Not a word. A lot of people seem to think these games are just a boost to win, but they're not. The 3D stages require plenty of twists and turns, and some of the 2D stages are brutally hard, so I had to spend over an hour grinding to beat them. But the worst level I found was a level that I just didn't understand. There's this one level all about drifting, which I hated since I always tried to stay on the inside of the track to be fast and kept running off the side. It took me far longer than I'd like to admit to realize that if I just drifted away from the side, then I'd survive. Okay, so there's where I like Sonic Unleashed. Your turn.
Hold on, no. We're not just gonna skip past the majority of the game that you just neglected to mention.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Wyatt, either tell them about the Warehog, or I will.
Fine, but that'll just make it take longer to get the colors. So, the Warehog, huh? If you're unaware, in Sonic Unleashed, Sonic turns into a werewolf at night, because why not? Technically, they call him a Warehog, not a werewolf, but that doesn't really make sense because were means man, so Warehog means man-hog, but he's not, he's like a wolf hog. So I guess I could call him like wolf hog, or like hog wolf, or hedge wolf. Hedge wolf might make sense. I don't know. There's like a lot of things you could say, but
Wyatt!
Huh?
Move on.
Right. The entire game is split into day stages with normal Sonic gameplay, and night stages with Warehog gameplay. At night, as a Warehog, you don't run fast or make quick decisions, you just instead punch stuff until they die. Then you walk forward.
See? Sonic Unleashed sucks.
Hold on, let me finish. The idea itself doesn't really fit a Sonic game, but still, it's not terrible. The night stages have three main types of gameplay: fighting, platforming, and exploring. Fighting is kinda mindless, since it's super easy, and if you do die, it doesn't feel like you died because you weren't good enough, but instead because you just didn't care enough to dodge. This sounds terrible, but I found it kinda relaxing. A weird thing when it comes to games is pacing, where if you do the same repetitive task for too long, you'll just want to quit. Minigames I find fun to repeat for hours on end, but 3D Sonic I do not, and I only end up wanting to play for an hour or so before I want a break. Sega has tried to fix this by throwing in other styles of gameplay to spice it up and give you a break from the speed. The Warehog is just that. The day stages require a lot of attention and focus to beat, while the night stages allow you to turn off your brain and just spam some buttons and watch the numbers go up. However, it's not completely mindless. There are many battles with bigger enemies you'll need to pay attention to, along with attacking well. There's also platforming challenges that use one of the Warehog's abilities, stretchy arms. Why can he stretch his arms? That's not important. These stages remind me a lot of LEGO games, since it's not about being challenging, it's just about exploring a level, breaking stuff, and relaxing. And from that point of view, they work just fine. So there you go, I talked about the Warehog.
You're forgetting something.
No, I don't think I am.
The length.
Why must you remind me? So yes, the levels can be nice breathers in between Sonic stages, but similar to Sonic Adventure 2, these breathers take forever. You can end up with over an hour of gameplay of night stages before getting back to a day stage. Not only because the stages are just long, but because sometimes they're finicky, with mini bosses being irritating and platforming just sucking. And if you die too much, you'll have to start an entire stage over. And again, the stages are quite long. The levels even have time trials, and the one I saw lasted 20 minutes! 20 minutes for a time trial is insane. But even the ones that are short, the game managed to make them feel so much longer. Like, remember the rails Sonic can grind on to go super fast? Well, the Warehog has them too, but he walks on them like a tightrope, which is slow. I remember one particular stage that I died on repeatedly and had to start over like 3 times, and I hate it. That's also the stage with the worst mini-boss of all time that throws you off a roof. So there, the Warehog stages can work in moderation, but the game doesn't exactly use moderation, so they're just irritating. Happy?
This isn't about my happiness, it's about being honest with yourself.
Don't even try that, just talk about colors.
Gladly. Sonic Colors manages to take what worked from Sonic Unleashed and scrap everything that didn't, like the Warehog. We have 3D stages, 2D stages, button prompts, it's all back and better than ever. The levels are designed to have far more exploration in them, and you can spend extra time looking for the hidden red star rings, just for more stuff to do. But if you don't care about any of it, you can just skip right past it and zoom straight ahead. Also, the game takes place on Eggman's Space Theme Park, which is just awesome. All the worlds look unique and beautiful, and since we're in space, there's aliens. This game's new gimmick are the Wisps, an alien species Sonic can absorb to get abilities from, and they're really cool. They manage to spice up the gameplay without taking hours away from Sonic's speedy gameplay.
Hold on, don't act like Colors is just Unleashed, but without the Warehog. It's not.
I mean, it kinda is, just, you know, also better.
Nuh-uh. Let me tell you what Colors actually is. The levels attempt to recreate Unleashed day stages, but they fail miserably. The 3D stages are far less interesting and don't require nearly as much reaction time. There's also far fewer of them, with the game focusing more on the 2D stages, which are also worse. They focus more on exploration, yes, but to a fault, with the levels having more slow platforming sections than speedy ones. And the Wisps are terrible. The vast majority of them don't add on to Sonic's speed, but instead slow him down to a crawl. The purple Wisps allow Sonic to eat enemies, but the more he eats, the slower he gets. Also, in Sonic Unleashed, you gained a boost by collecting rings, which worked perfectly. But here, you get it from a wisp, which are obviously less common, meaning you can go around for quite a while without boost. The game really doesn't care much about speed. I mean, it has a level gimmick of standing still, on buttons, waiting for things to slowly move so you can eventually get by. Someone at Sega approved this idea. This game is just far slower than Unleashed.
Unleashed, the game with hours of combat, is faster?
Somehow, yes. The button prompts are also far worse, since the game is on the Wii, and the Wii has far less buttons, so they're just nothing now. In fact, all the controls are worse for being on the Wii. The B button is irritating to press, you have to shake to activate the wisps, and drifting has you press the boost button, which is really weird. But even if it had good controls, it still just feels off. I'm like 99% sure they nerfed the boost, and even if they didn't, it sure felt a lot slower than Unleashed. And even the basic jump feels weird. It moves in an oddly slow way, and it feels like Sonic just started floating up. It's not good. I mean, in Sonic Colors, Sonic gets a double jump, but I constantly forgot if I use it or not because it looks like he's jumping twice here. It just looks bad. Not to mention he can jump repeatedly in water, meaning he can just practically swim, and I'm not even sure if this is a feature or a bug. It's just dumb.
How come you get to trash my game, but I don't get to trash yours?
Because you have an annoying voice.
Seriously?
Okay, fine. I'll do what you did. Hey Kyle, tell me about the Wisps.
The Wisps try to help Sonic with his speed and can be fun, but for the most part, aren't great. Wyatt already mentioned the white Wisps with a boost and the purple Wisps with eating things. However, there are a few more. Orange Wisps have you shoot up with a massive delay for some reason and have you fall very slowly. The yellow ones let you dig, which could be fast, but it's usually not used that great. Green lets you hover slowly, blue lets you change blocks in the platforming sections, yada yada yada. There are some fast ones like Pink letting you stick to walls and even do the spin dash, and Cyan letting you zip forward at high speeds, which is really cool. I don't think the Wisps as a whole are great by any means, but they're far better than the Warehog. There's something you seem to be forgetting. I'm not saying that Colors is perfect, I'm saying that it's better than Unleashed. Speaking of which, didn't Unleashed have a hub world?
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. To get to the levels in Unleashed, you need to go to a specific world on the world map, then walk through a town to get to the level section, and then finally you're able to select the level you want to play. Previous Sonic games did have hub worlds, and they all sucked, but Unleashed doesn't get as bad as those did. I didn't find the town that interesting and didn't really want to talk to people, and occasionally I did need to, but the levels themselves were off in their own area, so you don't need to go looking through the town to find any hidden stages or anything. I found these side areas fine. It can be fun to run around and find places to go, especially when you find the optional stages, but I also often didn't know where the next stage was, which can be very irritating. You can also switch between day and night by hitting these hourglasses, but it loads very slowly, and it can be very annoying if you accidentally hit it and need to wait through the entire loading screen twice to get back to where you were.
Ah yes, it can be irritating, while Colors just has a world map letting you select any level you want with ease.
That would be great and all if Colors actually had good levels.
Say, didn't Unleashed lock levels behind medals?
Yes, Unleashed has problems, okay?
Well, you gonna talk about it?
Nope.
Fine. Sonic Unleashed has a system where—
Just fine, I'll talk about it. Instead of having each level unlocked after you beat the previous one, Unleashed adds another requirement. Leveling up. I mean, leveling up was already a new mechanic to this game, where you just make yourself faster or stronger, and most of it doesn't really feel like it does much. Well, it might, I just didn't really notice most of it. Other than doing more damage as the Warehog, but that's it. However, alongside upgrading Sonic with experience, you can also upgrade your medals, I guess? Basically, every stage requires you to have a certain amount of levels to even play the level. This is— well, it's complicated actually. If you ever get to the next stage, but can't play it since you're not leveled up enough, you'll have to replay old stages to find new medals. This idea is kinda stupid. It's just padding, and I hate it. Especially when most of the medals are in the night stages, meaning you have to replay 20-minute stages over and over, finding more medals. However, replaying the day stages can actually be a lot of fun. I actually really enjoyed replaying these fast levels and doing better than I did before and finding new stuff. If this is what the medal system did, it could be fun, but sadly, the Warehog exists and that makes this take forever. However, if you're looking for the medals the first time you play a stage, you might not need to go back and replay them. There's also a lot of side levels that you don't need to beat for the main game, but you can play them if you need more medals. Because of this, whenever I needed medals, I just replayed the fast levels and some of the fast optional levels, and then I'd have enough. I don't know how, but I managed to beat the system and didn't need to replay any of the night stages. However, if you don't get as lucky as me, then you might need to replay them a lot, and that makes this stupidly annoying.
So do you admit the Warehog was a stupid addition now?
I think it was a fine idea, but with terrible implementation.
You think Eggman electrocuting Sonic, somehow turning him into a dog, was a good idea?
Well, it is a series for children, and as a kid, I did like the Warehog. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, but the in-universe reason behind it makes no sense.
True, like somehow the electricity changes his shoes.
You want to see if it's true?
You already know I don't. Other than Sonic, there are a few more characters. While previous games all added new playable characters, by the time Unleashed came out, they kinda stopped doing that. Well, unless you count the Warehog, but I don't. They even stopped using most of the existing characters. Neither game has Knuckles or any of Team Dark. Amy only appears in Unleashed and makes no appearance in Colors whatsoever. Sega is clearly trying to focus on Sonic, Tails, and Eggman. In Unleashed, like I said, Amy does make an appearance, but isn't very important. Other than her, the game also has a professor, but he's not interesting. The biggest new character in the game, though, is Chip, which is a weird flying animal thing.
I don't like Chip. He's supposed to be cute, but comes across more as annoying. He's very childlike, but being voiced by an adult man just isn't working great for his character.
I mean, at least he's better than Color's new character, who's just a random wisp that looks exactly like the others, but this one decided to talk to Tails. And that's it.
You can't just say one is better simply for being more unique. Is Sonic 3 Blast better than Sonic Adventure?
Touché.
I mean, even if you think Chip is better, Colors did introduce Orbot and Cubot, meaning Eggman finally has assistants like in the cartoons.
I mean, technically Orbot appeared in Unleashed first.
Not really, no.
Kinda. Tails is also in both games, but makes far more appearances in Sonic Colors, being in most cutscenes talking with Sonic, while in Unleashed that role is taken over by Chip. With that said, Unleashed actually has levels with Tails, having him fly the tornado to attack Eggman. In SA1, I hated this, but here it's changed completely into a button prompt game, and it's actually a lot of fun. Not too hard, but fun.
Stop talking about things that Unleashed is better at.
I'm not, I'm talking about anything, and Unleashed just happens to be better at everything.
Uh-huh.
Look, if you disagree, then you pick a topic.
Boss fights. Sonic Colors has a series of unique bosses that all fight distinctly from the previous ones, while Unleashed has night bosses that are slow and day bosses that blend together.
That's all you got?
That's all I need.
Didn't you say earlier that it's better to be good than unique?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Fine then, my turn. Yes, Sonic Unleashed has two types of bosses. The night bosses require you to run around and punch stuff whenever necessary. They work, but they're not the best. I mean, one of them has you just push blocks, while the boss himself does basically nothing. So yeah, that one sucked. However, the day bosses are awesome. Instead of having Sonic come to a complete stop and stand in a room while fighting a boss, they decided to keep Sonic moving and fight while running, which is just a brilliant idea. It kinda reminds me of the first Eggman fight in Sonic & Knuckles. Each boss is different with different types of attacks and ways to dodge, but they all feature the same gimmick of running forward down a hall that loops around. It works really well, though I will say that they do blend together like you said, and because of that, they can get boring, having the same style of boss every time you fight in the day, so I wish it was remixed a bit. Sonic Colors tries to do just that and misses very badly. One boss does have you run forward, but it's not nearly as good as Unleashed. Others have you locked in a room, just like the classic games, and they're still not great. The one that shows the most promise is the Ferris wheel boss, since you have to use your speed to run to the top. So the boss is still about speed, but isn't the exact same style as Unleashed. However, the boss is extremely easy, so it was a bit of a disappointment. Also, you repeat nearly every boss in the game, which sucks.
Look, Colors bosses aren't great, but at least the final one is. It has you run forward while the boss uses whiffs against you. You keep hitting all the whiffs out and then use them all to defeat the boss. It's really cool. So, how's Unleashed's final boss?
Oh, yes, it was good.
Oh, tell me about it.
Well, you run and attack the boss, and it's good.
You didn't fight it, did you?
Look, the game ends with a massive level that actually has you switch from day to night in the middle of a level, which I don't know why they didn't do that throughout the game.
You wanted it to make you switch themes in the middle of the day stages?
Look, I said I'm surprised they didn't do it, not that I wanted them to do it. Anyways, I spent literally an hour on this level before getting stuck at one part and dying over and over and having to start the entire thing over. So I just quit the game. Yeah, I'm not doing that.
So you admit the Colors had the better final boss.
Better final level? Yes. Final boss? I don't know. I didn't play Unleashed.
Well, that's one thing I can say about Colors. It's easy to beat. Both of them.
Yeah, the Dims version. While Sonic Team made Unleashed for Xbox and PlayStation and made Colors for Wii, Dims was hired to make versions for the other consoles, such as Unleashed for the Wii or Colors for DS. These are completely different versions of the game, so are they any good?
Well, Wyatt, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I didn't beat it. Unleashed is a long game, especially when you don't know what you're doing, and I just finished, almost, the Xbox edition, and I didn't want to beat it again. I did try it though, and yeah, from what I played, it wasn't great. I've actually heard this game is better since it has less grinding and less night stages. However, what it has more of is motion controls. Again, the Wii has less buttons, meaning a lot of the controls have to be combined to the same button or tied to moving the controller around. I mean, fighting has you physically punch, and I didn't want to do that for another 5 hours. And what I did play wasn't even that great either. Instead of having one tutorial stage that teaches you all the mechanics, this game has a short stage for each mechanic, and a loading screen in between each and every one, which makes it take forever. So yeah, I didn't want to play much more of this game. So was Colors DS any good?
Well, I hate to say it, but yeah! The levels have far less platforming and focus solely on moving fast. The whiffs are also much faster. Like yellow lets you speed up, orange is used far less frequently and only for secrets, and purple speeds up when you meet enemies instead of slowing down. This game also introduces a red whiff that allows you to blast off in any direction, and it's really cool. It also has bonus stages for emeralds that are also a lot of fun. They have you collect a certain color sphere and avoid the rest and then run through again, but this time get the other color. So getting the wrong color makes the future laps harder. I honestly prefer this version over the Wii version, so I think we can safely say that Colors is the better game. Its gimmicks are far better, there's more levels, it's great.
Hold on, yes, it has more levels, but they're far worse. Like, go watch Unleashed opening and tell me the game isn't awesome. It has Sonic destroying enemies and even going super, it's great.
Sure, the animation is good, but Colors' theme song is much better. You literally listen to it all the time.
I do that. But still, Colors has terrible writing. It explains its own jokes.
Who you calling nothing?
Huh? He means since the boss said nothing will stop me, and Sonic here is going to stop him, it's like the boss was calling Sonic nothing.
Great! I thought nobody would get that.
I don't understand you. Unleashed is padded so much with the terrible Warehog.
Colors levels don't focus on speed.
Unleashed has you replay stages for no reason.
But replaying those stages can be fun.
Sometimes you have to wander around the hub world trying to figure out who to talk to.
But it's worth it to get back to the great stages full of speed.
Yeah, but Unleashed...
Stop! Just listen to yourself.
What?
You're not defending Colors, you're attacking Unleashed. Here's the thing, Unleashed has vastly better levels, but Colors has better everything else. It has better gimmicks, it has a better hub, it has better ways to unlock new levels, or more accurately, it doesn't have medals. If you enjoy the Warehog stages, or even if you're just willing to put up with them, then you'll prefer Unleashed. But if you hate these stages and don't want to play a single one, then you'll prefer Colors.
You know what? I can agree with that.
Good, at least we found some common ground.
That's the best thing I've heard all day.
Friends?
Friends.
So what do you think? Do you prefer Unleashed or Colors? Personally, I prefer Unleashed, but still, both are good. Also, a while back, I made a TikTok about Sega repeating their mistakes, and said that Unleashed had problems and Colors revived the series, and people got really mad at me. At the time, I hadn't really played either of them, so I couldn't argue which one's better, but no matter which one is, I'm still right. Unleashed does have problems, and Colors did revive Sonic. I don't like the game that much, but critics did, so shut up, I'm right. So if I were to replay one of these games right now, just for fun, which one would I play? Colors DS. It is the least amount of stupid decisions. A while back, I made a video about Sonic fan games and played Sonic Omens and said that it was the best Sonic game I had ever played, but the reason I said that was because I had never played Unleashed. Now that I have, yeah, Unleashed is far better. Unleashed is amazing. Go play that game if you haven't. I'd suggest putting up with the Warehog stages, just like put on a podcast, relax, you'll be fine. They're kind of fun.